Okay, so there are questions. I will try to answer later, but let me finish a little bit more about bodhicitta.
那有些人有提问，那之后会再做答复。现在再多讲一些关于菩提心的内容。
So I hope I've managed to convince you that bodhicitta really should have this element of wisdom.
我希望我已经设法说服你们，知道说菩提心应该叫具有智慧这个要素在里面。
Okay, I'm using the word wisdom, but I don't know whether that's a really good translation.
我是用英文 wisdom 智慧这个词，但是我真的不知道这是不是一个好的翻译。
Anyway, for the beginners, for them to understand this easier, I would say wisdom is basically mind that is seeing the truth.
为了让初学者能够比较容易理解呢，所以我会这么说：智慧基本上就是能够看见实相的心。
A lot of you have heard this before, but for the newcomers, if I repeat.
你们很多人都已经听过这个很多遍了，不过对于就是初学新来扎到的人呢，我再重复讲一遍。
So, like impermanence, for instance.
举例来说，像是无常。
Many times, we are looking at something that's impermanent, but always sort of not see its truth, which is impermanent, but keep on imagining it's permanent.
我们往往会看着一个无常的东西呢，忘却它无常的实相这一面，然后一直想象说它是恒常的。
And similarly, we are looking at things that are a lot of parts, but then we always end up thinking it's just one unit, so on and so forth. This is just to give you an example.
同样的，我们往往看着一个具有很多部分组成的东西呢，去把它想成就是一个单位、一个整体的东西。类似这样子的例子非常多。
If we talk more deeper level of the truth, we are talking about, we relate to things that are just an imagination or an appearance, but we end up always seeing them as real.
那更深层的层面来说呢，我们经常看着自己想象出来的东西，或者看着一个表象的东西，却把它当成是一个真实的东西。
Some of them we can sort of understand that they are just our imagination.
有些东西我们是能够理解，它们只是我们自己的想象。
There are a lot of things that we think that they are real. You can't sort of, that has to be the ultimate truth. Things like that.
但是呢，我们还是会把很多的东西看成是真实的，觉得说那个就是究竟的真理，就是究竟的实相。
So, anyway, seeing the absolute truth is what we call prajna, which is translated as a wisdom.
总之呢，看见究竟的实相，或者说看见圣义谛呢，就是所谓的般若智慧，或者在英文就是 wisdom。
So that aspect is the big part of the bodhicitta.
那这个是菩提心很大的一个部分。
If someone wishes to have a cup of tea, water is essential, but tea leaf is important. You can't just give this person a cup of water.
那比如说我们需要一杯茶的话，那水是必须的，但是茶叶也很重要，你不能就只是给人一杯水说这是茶。
Likewise, this aspect of the wisdom is really, really important.
同样的，这个般若智慧的层面是非常非常重要的。
But for most of the beginners, this truth, this understanding of this truth is, beyond their comprehension, I guess.
但是对很多人来说呢，要理解这个实相呢，可能超越他们能够理解的范围。
It's not because it's difficult. It's just habitually not, we are habitually not accustomed to.
这并不是因为它是一件很困难的事情，而是因为我们在习惯上就没有去习惯这样的
For
去
instance,
做。
like impermanence, we kind of intellectually we know yesterday's me and today's me, they are kind of different.
比如说无常好了，我们理智上是能够理解说，昨天的我跟今天的我事实上是不一样的。
But in our day-to-day interaction with the life, we just forget. We just think that yesterday's me is same as today's me. Not only yesterday, last year's me is same as today's me, so on and so forth.
但是在我们日常生活当中，在跟生活有这种交流的时候，我们就还是会习惯性的觉得说，昨天的我跟今天的我是一样的，不只是昨天，甚至去年的我也跟今天的我是一样的。
And lot of things like our ideas, values, if we intellectually analyze, we can come to a conviction. We can come to some sort of understanding. Yes, that's just my idea. That's just my opinion. That's just my projection. Kind of. I mean, for a lot of people, even that is difficult.
像是很多的想法，很多的价值观，如果我们真的用理智去做分析的话，事实上我们是能够理解说啊，这其实只是我自己的想法，只是我自己的意见，只是我自己的投射。某方面我们是能够这样理解的。话虽如此，还是有很多人连就是这样都不能理解。
Because for us, some of our ideas, some of our values are really precious. They're, stone carved in the center of our heart. Very valuable. We will not give up as just imagination.
因为有些价值观是非常深植于我们心中的，我们不会很轻易的就去放弃它，觉得去想说这就只是自己的想象而已。
Okay, so for this kind of beginners, how do we then practice bodhicitta? Since we, it's tough, it's tough to conceive it habitually. Then what do we do?
那对那样的初学者来说，要怎么样来修持菩提心呢？因为他们习惯性的就会那样认为了，那要怎么办呢？
So this is why it is such a brilliant method. The practice of the bodhicitta may all be enlightened. Instead of saying may all be happy, may all be not suffer, may all have may all be well. This kind of like well wishing. That's like a wishing well. But instead of that, may all be enlightened. So this, for the beginners, is such a brilliant idea. It's like a really good stepping stone.
因此呢，对于初学者来说，这样的想法事实上是非常非常棒的一种方法，就是去想说，愿一切有情众生都能获得证悟，而不只是就是一般的那种祝福，希望别人快乐，希望别人没有痛苦等等，而是要想说，愿一切有情众生获得证悟，这是一个初学者非常好的入门的一个做法。
Yeah, so I know it sounds like I'm repeating again and again. So this wish to make other people see the truth, it's such a wholesome, the greatest wholesome thought.
我知道听起来好像我一直在重复，但是这个去想要希望别人能够看见实相的这个想法，真的是最伟大的一个善念。
And then another thing that probably you want to make note
还有一
is
个可能大
this.
家会想要记下来的就是，
Generally Buddhism, and especially in the
一般
Mahayana
来说，佛
Buddhism,
教徒，尤其是大乘佛教徒，
basically all methods are one way or another related to end up to this truth.
基本上呢，所有的方法呢，所有的法门呢，最终都会以某种方式呢，就是达到这样我们刚刚讲的实相那个真理。
So Mahayana, okay, the Buddhists will talk about things like renunciation, ascetic life, let's say, right? The word renunciation means a lot, but let's choose the the practice of asceticism or austerity, like simple life.
很多时候佛教徒会讲到出离心，那当然出离心有很多的不同的含义，那我们就比较简单来讲说，就是这种简朴的生活，这种比较苦行的生活好了。
If without the wisdom of knowing the truth is not there, the ascetic life, renouncent life is pain. It's nothing more than just some sort of a penance. It's not a Mahayana path.
如果没有智慧的这个层面的话，那么出离心，这个出离的生活、苦行的生活呢，无非就只是一种痛苦而已，有点像是一种自我惩罚，它并就不会是一个大圣之道了。
And it's for this reason, lot of Mahayana practitioners in the past and also in the present, we see them not necessarily adopting the ascetic life. They're businessmen, I don't know, rich, affluent, wealthy, wear rings, earrings, nose rings, whatever.
也因此呢，我们会看到有很多大圣的佛教徒，事实上他们并没有去过那种苦行的出离的生活，他们可能是一个商人，他们非常的富有富裕，他们可能戴着耳环、鼻环、戒指等等。
So in this way, you can even say when the Buddhists begin to talk about teachings such as renunciation, love and compassion, basically they are attempting, it's an attempt to slowly stir you, to lead you or lure you towards the shunyata, towards the truth.
所以讲到像出离心啊、慈心这种教法的话，事实上他们都是一种努力，要尝试着慢慢的把你带往空性那里去。
Okay, so and therefore, okay, for instance, like mindfulness, since mindfulness is such a thing to talk about these days, for Mahayana, for the Bodhisattva Yana, stability of the mind means really nothing. If there is no understanding of the truth, stable mind for what? Might as well have a jumpy mind, they would think.
所以因为正念现在很盛行，所以比如说正念好了，假如说你没有智慧的层面，你没有看见实相这个层面的话，那么心的稳定性事实上对大圣的人，对菩萨圣人来说，事实上是没有太大意义的。如果你没有看见实性的话，就是那你还不如就是有一个很不稳定的心。
Also things like okay, so they, this is why in the sutras you will read phrases like, when you have complete nyingje, karuna, compassion, that actually means you have understood the shunyata. So understand realization of the truth and having a perfect compassion is synonymous.
因此呢，在佛经当中才会说到说，当你具有完整的悲心的时候，那也就是你了知空性的时候。因此，了知实相，事实上和具有完整的悲心，事实上是同样的意思。
This aspect of the bodhicitta really is something that need to be emphasized for the Mahayana practitioner.
对大乘的修行人来说，菩提心的这个层面，这个智慧的层面是非常需要强调的。
As long as you don't have this quest for the truth, as long if you don't have this prajna, then compassion, loving kindness, they could be also self-deceiving.
那如果你没有般若智慧，如果你没有想要寻求实相的这种渴求的话，那么像是悲心、慈心，他们也可能是一种自我欺骗而已。
And also it could be a deception for others too.
而且也可能是在欺骗别人。
And not only that, if you don't have the prajna, love and compassion, morality, ethics, they are very exhausting.
而且如果你没有般若智慧的话，慈心、悲心、戒律、伦理道德等等，都会让人非常的疲累。
Say, for instance, generosity, perfection of the generosity. How are you going to achieve that?
比如，布施波罗蜜好了，那你要怎么样去达成布施波罗蜜呢？
How do you define someone who has a perfect generosity, or he's a perfect disciplined? How do we define?
你要怎么样定义某一个人做到了布施波罗蜜？你怎么样定义一个人具有完整的戒律？
And even practically, we can be generous to one or two people for maybe a year or two or even 20 years. But, after a while, it can get exhausting, and it can really even disorient yourself.
在实务上呢，我们实务的层面上，我们有可能对一两个人有1-2年的这个布施的心非常的慷慨大方，甚至20年的时间，但是不久之后呢，我们总是会感到非常的疲惫，甚至会迷失方向。
And, we see this a lot, like things like love and compassion becomes also very partial. Like someone may have love and compassion towards things like dogs, but then they have no love and compassion towards cockroach or mosquitoes.
同样的，像是没有智慧的慈心，也可能是非常的局部性的，可能一个人会非常爱他的狗，但是对于像蟑螂啊、蚊子却没有任何的慈心。
So, one of the the classic word for somebody who has the bodhicitta is a bodhisattva. And the bodhisattva, one of the connotation of the bodhisattva is the courageous one, right? The one who has that kind of courage. When we talk about courage, what are we talking about? We are talking about someone who has understood the truth, or aspiring to see understand the truth.
那我们会讲说，具持菩提心的人就是菩萨。那菩萨还有一个含义，就是说他是非常勇敢的人，或者说他是一个勇士。那是什么样的勇气呢？就是说他是了知实相的，或者至少是想要去看见实相，想要去了知实相的勇气。
Yeah. I'm emphasizing this because the act of benefiting others without the prajna can be very daunting and very
我
tiring.
强调这一点呢，是因为如果没有般若智慧的话，那么这个菩萨行可以是非常让人疲惫的，非常让人丧气的。
And if you don't have hearing and contemplation regarding the ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom, then you will also not have the access to the incredible, infinite, skillful means.
如果你没有对就近的菩提心、圣意菩提心，也就是智慧做过闻思的话，那你就没有办法去接触到无量的善巧方便。
If you have the wisdom, there's nothing that is not a skillful means.
如果你具有智慧的话，那么没有什么不会成为善巧方便的。
I mean, we eat every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, for instance.
我们每天都吃饭，早中晚餐3餐。
And we breathe in and out every moment.
我们时时刻刻都在吸气吐气。
A skilled bodhisattva can even turn these seemingly mundane act, day-to-day act, as a bodhisattva path.
一个有经验的菩萨，甚至可以把这些看似非常世俗的行为呢，转变成菩萨道。
Yeah, I know. For many of you, you may even think, me eating breakfast? How can that become a bodhisattva activity? Because you see, we are stuck with this idea that a bodhicitta has to be bodhisattva has to be some sort of a philanthropist.
我知道你们有些人会想说，我吃早餐怎么可能变成一个菩萨的行为呢？这是因为你就是卡在那种菩萨就必须是一个像做慈善的人一样那样的想法当中。
But if we can sort of explore a little bit of this prajna bit, even breathing in and out, our own breathing in and out, which we do it anyway. We have to. Even that we can turn it into a bodhisattva activity.
像是我们的呼吸，我们反正是必须做这个事情的。假如我们具有智慧的话，我们是可以把这样的呼吸也转变成一种菩萨的行为，菩萨的事业。
Okay, so lastly, now the question is, do we even have the capacity to have this bodhicitta mind?
好，那最后的问题就是说，那我们到底有没有能力去具有这样的菩提心呢？
Well, according to the Mahayana, very much so.
那么根据大乘的说法呢，我们是非常具有这样的能力的。
In fact, your true nature is the bodhicitta. This is what Mahayana people think.
事实上呢，大乘人士的想法是说，事实上你的真实本性就是菩提心。
Yes, for now you may be, cocooned and wrapped by all kinds of emotions and the defilements, but your true nature is this bodhicitta.
的确，现在你可能是受到这个各种情绪烦恼、各种染垢的包裹而被捆绑住了，但事实上你的真实自信就是菩提心。
Just like a good human being, when they drink a lot of alcohol, they misbehave and they seemingly become kind of rowdy and kind of not a nice person. When the alcohol effect subsides, they land or they arrive to the state of a good human being again, just like that.
就像是一个人喝了很多酒之后呢，他可能会行为不规矩啊，变得非常的喧闹，不是一个好人等等。但是等到这个酒力消退之后，他又会再次的变成一个好人，就像那样的情况一样。
Right now, we are drunk by our emotions, our hope and fear. And when these things subsides, we are back to normal. And that normalcy is nothing other than the bodhicitta. So, there's all the reason why we can have the bodhicitta.
现在我们因为我们自己的情绪、各种期待和恐惧的染垢呢，而变得酒醉。但是等到这个他们退去之后，等我们恢复到我们的正常状态的时候，那个就是菩提心的状态。因此呢，我们确实是有能力具有菩提心的。
And according to the Shantadeva, the book that I was talking earlier,
那么根据吉天菩萨所言呢，根据就是我之前讲到的那本书里面所说的，
even if you wish that all beings understand the truth, you have become a bodhisattva.
即使只是想要一切有情都能够知道实相这样子的心愿呢，也就能够让你成为菩萨。
You have become the object of veneration by gods and asuras. That's what
你
he
也就
said.
因此成为了天人和阿修罗所应该礼敬的对象，这是吉天所说的。
But if you want to sort of enhance the determination to awaken all sentient beings, it is also possible to surrender to rituals such as taking the Bodhisattva vow.
但是如果你想要更加的巩固自己，想要令一切有情众生获得觉醒的决心的话呢，那也很好的就是你能够做某些仪式，就是去受菩萨戒。
So before I let you ask the questions, we are quickly going to take the Bodhisattva vow. And I urge you to take this Bodhisattva
因
vow.
此呢，在我们回答问题之前呢，我会很快的，就是给大家做受菩提心戒的仪式，而且我也强烈的劝请大家来受菩提菩萨戒。
Some of you may be wondering what kind of dietary commitment you should, you have to be committed to. So not to worry
那
about
有
those
些人可
things.
能会就是担心说，那受戒之后是不是有什么饮食方面的限制呢？那目前不需要担心那
You
些。
know, when do you need to get up early in the morning? Stuff like that. It doesn't exist. Remember the ultimate, the prajna? Those things not so important. Not important, actually.
所以呢，或者说有些人担心说，那是不是就要很早起啊，等等的，都不用担心那些事情。记得之前讲的般若智慧嘛，就是相较而言，那些事情都不是那么重要的。
What's really important, this is a vow. You are taking a vow that I shall try my best, one way or another, to make people see the truth, step by step. That's it. How can you not take this vow?
基本上你要受的戒呢，你要做的誓言呢，就是说我要尽自己最大的努力呢，一步一步的要让人能够看到实相。你怎么能够不受这样的戒呢？
Okay, so I will request you to take this Bodhisattva vow.
因此呢，我请大家都能够来受这个菩萨戒。
Okay, so we are doing this online. I know online stuff like taking a vow is a bit of a controversy, but since this is a Mahayana, I think it's okay. But just don't tell some of those Orthodox lamas that I've done this.
那我们在这个事情是在线上举行的，现在线上做这些事情呢，就是有很多的争议。不过我想这是一个大圣的事情呢，所以应该是没关系的。不过呢，不要把这个事情告诉那些
Okay.
非常
So folding your palms together, let us take refuge first.
本位主义的那些喇嘛们。所以现在大家合掌。
Basically, what we are saying is that we will accept the truth as our object of refuge.
基本上呢，我们在说的就是我们会接受实相、接受真理呢，作为我们皈依的对象，
And that one who taught as our guide,
而且接受那个教导实相的人作为我们的向导，
and the system or the community as our support.
接受这个系统或者说这个社群呢，作为我们的支持
Okay, so
的
please
人，
repeat
或者
this.
支持我们的人，请跟着念诵。
Jangchup ningpor chiji bar. Sanje namla. Japsu chi. Chödang changchup. Sampa yi. Tsoglang. Tejin. Japsu chi. Changchup ningpor chiji bar. Sanje namla. Japsu chi. Chödang changchup. Sampa yi. Tsoglang. Tejin. Japsu chi. Changchup ningpor chiji bar. Sanje namla. Japsu chi. Chödang changchup. Sampa yi. Tsoglang. Tejin. Japsu chi. Okay, now take the Bodhisattva vow.
现在是受菩萨戒，
Jidar nganji. Deshe ji. Changchup tukni. Jepa tang, Changchup sempi, Lapa la, Deda rimjin, Nepa tar, Tejin rola, Pendendu, Changchup semni, Jeji shing, Tejin duni, Lapa laang, Rimba jindu, Lapar ji. Okay.
好，就这样。
That's it. So I will answer some questions. Maybe I can't answer all. So I will listen to this. Is it or?
所以我会回答一些问题，或许没有办法回答全部的问题。
Read it here.
I can read them, Rinpoche, for you.
Okay.
So there's a question from Richard Dixie.
Oh,
If-
Richard Dixon. Okay.
If bodhicitta is wisdom, what is the basis for the spontaneous desire to share that wisdom with other beings? Is there not still the need for a contrived vow in order to motivate oneself to do this?
Well, bodhicitta is not only the wisdom, it is also, remember, to make a tea, you need leaf and water. I'm just emphasizing the wisdom because oftentimes bodhicitta always gets limited to this kind of kind thought and generous thoughts and so on and so forth.
那问题是说，假如菩提心是智慧的话，那就是我们会有这样的愿望，想要就是去分享这个菩提心这样子的，它的基础是什么呢？我们是不是还是需要去受戒呢？那回答是说，事实上菩提心不只是智慧，我强调智慧的这个层面，是因为我们很多时候就只觉得说它只是一个善念而已。
There's another question in Spanish from Aristides Rivodo. Is inhabiting non-duality the bodhicitta mind? And is this uniquely Buddhist?
下一个问题是说，菩提心是不是只有佛教徒才有的？
Yes,
回答是说是的。
I would say between lots of, Indian wisdom tradition,
我会说呢，在很多的印度传统之间，
such as Nyaya and, Jain and Buddhism,
像是耆那教徒、
really
佛教徒、
hard to
真理教徒等等，
distinguish,
那有很多东西是非常难去区别
I would
的。
say. But bodhicitta is probably one of the unique thing. I haven't really heard this bodhicitta bit from others. So this may be a very big one. So please, scholars and researchers, if you can maybe make comment.
但是菩提心呢，可能是佛教徒独具的一个东西，因为我还没有在其他的这个教派宗教当中听到这个菩提心这个部分，所以这边的在座的学者研究者们，如果你们能够对此做一些评论的话。
Okay, Simi?
Yes. The next
Finish?
question. No, there's another question from Diego Almeida. How to develop bodhicitta practice daily?
下一个问题是说如何每天来修持菩提心，如何在每一天修持升起菩提心这个修持。
Okay. I mean, there are a lot of, short and long rituals that can
回答是
that can help you. So you can do that.
有很多或长或短的仪轨呢，是你可以去做的，真的会对你有所帮助。你可以去做那些。
But actually, I would rather encourage you to do it informally.
但其实我是会鼓励你以非正式的方式来做这个修持。
For instance, wish to continue living so that one way or another, your action, even the most mundane action, remember I told you earlier, like drinking cup of tea, one way or another will lead to make others understand the truth. This kind of longing, I think this is what Richard Dixie was also talking earlier. This kind of longing is, yes, it's contrived, it's fabricated, but it's anyway, nevertheless, is gearing towards the wisdom. And it's so important. And that's a bodhicitta practice.
比如说呢，你希望自己能够继续的活下去，然后让自己的行为呢，以某种方式，甚至是最世俗的行为都有可能，比如说像是喝一杯茶，但是希望自己的行为以某种方式呢，能够引领他人获得证悟。那这样子愿求心呢，就像之前的那个问题，就是说，即使这是非常造作的，但是它也能够把你导向智慧，所以这是会鼓励你会这样来修持菩提心。
And Chinese translation is also being posted in the chat.
And
So-
wait, you know, especially if you or your friend, about, they're like on their last stage of their, like life. I think thinking of bodhicitta is very important. It's like, like usually you think, this is it. Your life is coming to an end, so to speak, right?
这有点像是就是有些人会问说他生命中的最后一天要怎么办，要做些什么？那我想这个去思维菩提心，去记得菩提心是非常重要的。有时候你可能会想说就这样了，我的生命到了尽头了，那个时候。
But it's not really end. Because of the bodhicitta, your life is just beginning. There's all this, countless of sentient beings you need to awaken. Big project.
但其实它并不是一个尽头，并不是一个结束，因为事实上有无量的这个众生是你需要去让他们觉醒的，这是一个非常大的项目，非常大的计划。
One life is not enough. That's a very cowardly thinking.
一个身世是不足够的，这是非常懦弱的想法。你只想一个身世，
You wish to come back and, I don't know, until all sentient beings have finished, you want to come back as, I don't know, as bugs, as human beings, as whatever. That kind of planning and vision.
你事实上应该要想着说，我要不断的回来，直到这个一切的有情众生都获得证悟为止。所以你应该要希望说自己不断的回来，作为虫子，作为人类，不管作为什么，要有那样的计划，那样的远见。
Angela asks, to help someone see the truth and to help myself see the truth, how do I know whether I should continue working or should I take some time off for deepening my own practice? How do we know this and how can we make a decision?
下一个问题是说，为了帮助我自己，也帮助别人，就是看见实相，我怎么知道我是不是应该还要继续工作呢？还是我应该就是花些时间来做自己的修持？那我们怎么样知道要怎么样做决定呢？
I don't know your situation, depending on what kind of situation you are in.
回答是说，我不知道你的情况，
Do you need to pay mortgage?
你需不需要付房贷啊？
Do you need to, I don't know, pay certain bills? I don't know.
需要付某些账单，
Do you need to prepare
你需不需要准备？
for your, I don't know, next year?
准备你明年的事
So
情，
do you have children?
你有没有小孩等等？
But time to time, if you take off some time and invest your time and energy on things like bodhicitta, definitely can charge you with the bodhicitta spirit, so to speak.
但是如果你不时的，就是拨出一些时间来，把自己的时间和精力投注在修持菩提心上， 那肯定能够让你再重新灌注菩提心的能量和动力。
There's a question, Rinpoche, here about the relationship between karma and bodhicitta, and if you might elaborate.
下一个问题是关于业和菩提心之间的关系，请荣波切做一些解说。
Okay, we are going to talk about karma, I think, quite soon. So can we hold on with this question?
回答是说，我们很快就会讲到业，所以这个问题就是请暂时等一下，以后再回答。
There's another question. When we make offerings, how to do it in the best way to also approach the truth?
Can you repeat that to me again?
Yeah, it's a translation. So I'm doing the best. Let's see. When we make an offering, how best to do it as an approach to truth?
做供养的时候，如何更接近实相而做善，而无了行善？
Well, you have heard today with a bodhicitta, you are doing this offering so that one way or another, this act will awaken others to the truth. I'm just trying to not use the word classic phrase like for the sake of enlightenment of others, just so that you can understand what I'm trying to emphasize.
回答是说，你今天已经听到了，就是你在做供养的时候呢，要带着菩提心。你做供养的时候，心里就要想说，以某种方式，愿这个供养呢，能够带领众生获得真悟。
So there's another question from Alvaro Luis Campos that says, having gone astray down a wrong path for such a long time, it can be hard to be courageous to come back to this high path. The karmic effect remains. Is there anything you can say?
This is why the bodhicitta is absolutely important. As Chandradeva said, darkness of the millions of eons can be illuminated by one thought on the bodhicitta.
下一个问题是说，就是走上歧途很长时间之后，需要很大的勇气才能再走回正途上来，因为还有很多业力在那边，业果的影响。能不能请仁波切再多讲一些这方面的？仁波切说，这就是为什么说菩提心是绝对重要的。就像吉天所说，百千万劫的黑暗呢，可以经由一念的菩提心而获得照亮。
Today I did not elaborate it, but usually when we take the Bodhisattva vow, we even say that today we have become the child of the Buddha.
所以今天我没有细讲这一方面。通常我们受菩提心戒的时候，我们会说：“今天我已经成为佛的孩子了。”
Today we become the, like, illuminator.
今天我已经成为就是照亮实相的人。
It's precisely with this kind of situation, bodhicitta becomes like an alchemy.
正是为了这样的情况，所以菩提心才变得像是那个点石成金的转化剂一样。
Just imagine, without the bodhicitta, how do we perfect? How do we make ourselves perfect? It's impossible. It's really impossible.
大家可以想想，如果没有菩提心的话，我们怎么样让自己变得完美、变得圆满呢？那就是不可能的事情了。
What else?
Michela Simpkins asks, if everything, as you said, is soon to become non-existent, what then?
下一个问题是说，如果一切都会像您刚刚所说的变成不复存在的话，那个时候怎么办呢？
I think here there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we mean by non-existence.
回答是说，这边可能有些误解。当我们说到就是一切都不存在的时候，都是无的时候。
Generally, Buddhists, especially Mahayana Buddhists, when they say non-existence, it also includes the non-existence of non-existence.
通常当佛教徒呢，当大乘佛教徒讲到无不存在的时候呢，也包括不存在本身的不存在。
Yes. So the prajna, the wisdom, is non-dual. If it is just non-existence, then there's a duality.
因为这个般若智慧是无二的，如果说就只是无的话，那个是一种二元分别。
Just pausing for a sec. Rolf asks the question, if someone's manipulating you all the time, do we still have to generate bodhicitta up to the point that it's completely destroying your own mental state?
如果问题是说，如果有个人非常的就是在玩弄你、操纵你的话，那你还要一直跟他发菩提心，发到说你自己都变得神智有点问题吗？
Because the question implies that do you still need to behave gently, softly, and submissive, so on and so forth?
那回答是说，这个发菩提心难道就是说你一定行为就是要非常温和柔软的，非常听从的吗？
But as I said right at the beginning,
但是就像我一开始所说的，
bodhicitta can be or not just can be, but the big part of the bodhicitta is like relentlessly, ruthlessly honest and the truth. It's a truth-seeking thing.
就像一开始所说的，菩提心有很大一部分呢是非常勇猛无畏的对实相保持诚实的一个状态。
Without that wisdom, if it is just being loving and kindness, that could really burn you, I guess.
如果没有那样的智慧存在，你就只是非常的慈爱的话，那会让你非常精疲力尽的。
That's it?
No, there's many more, but I'm just kind of pausing because the translators need a little time. We'll have
we
to
will
do
take
part
maybe
2.
2 more questions.
Sure. Noah asks, what are the benefits of having an awakened mind?
我们可能再回答2个问题。下一个问题是说，有一个觉醒心的利益是什么呢？
There are many, many benefits.
有非常非常多的利益，
Among many,
在很多利益当中，
I think it's always good to have a bird's eye view of life.
我想呢，对于生命呢，有一个鸟瞰的视野，纵览会是非常好的事情。
It's like the whole angle view of life. That's going to be so liberating and not just one angle, not lopsided.
就像是你对生命能够有各种角度的观看，这会让你感到非常的获得解放，非常的解脱。就是不是说你只是从一个角度来观看生命，不是非常偏颇的在观看。
Rinpoche, there's a number of questions about courage. How to come up with this kind of courage for this, I guess, wiser bodhicitta or that you allude to.
那下面有好几个问题都是关于勇气的。
Yes, that's actually quite interesting. Wise, and you use the word courage and the wise together. Oftentimes, courage also seems to have the connotation of being a little bit stubborn and stupid, sometimes even.
如何升起这样的勇气来具有仁波切讲的这种具有智慧的菩提心呢？因为你讲到这个勇气的时候，有时候大家好像那个含义是说，有勇气的人就是好像是很顽固的，但事实上
If you see the truth, if you have the bird's eye view of life,
如果你看见实相，如果你对生命有
yes,
纵览，
basically that is the courage we are talking here. you are in the comfortable zone, so to speak. You are in a, what do you call it? You have the vista.
你可以纵观生命的话，基本上这个就是我们在这边讲的勇气，你就有了那个整个景观了，你就是在一个很舒适的境界。
Should we close with one more question, Rinpoche?
I will actually answer this question. There's a question: is wishing to be reborn in Amitabha land a cowardice idea?
我会想要回答这个问题，就是想要投身阿弥陀佛净土是一个很懦弱的想法吗？
Not at all. It's the most courageous. You should do this.
回答是说完全不是，这是最有勇气的一种想法，你应该要这么去做。
And you should visit the temple in, I think this is a question coming from China. The main temple of the Pure Land School, where there's a really beautiful Amitabha Buddha statue.
而且呢，你应该要去那个寺庙。我想这个问题是来自中国的净土宗的主要寺庙呢，有一尊非常庄严的阿弥陀佛佛像，你应该去参访。
And to make it even greater, why don't you wish to reborn in the Amitabha realm so that you will enlighten all sentient beings, or so that you will awaken all sentient beings to the truth? See, I told you, it's like alchemy.
而且呢，让他更伟大的想法是说，你为什么不发愿说要投身净土、极乐净土，然后以便让自己能够让一切有情众生获得证悟呢？就像我之前说过的，就是这样的发心呢，就像是那个点石成金的仙丹转换剂一样。
Okay, Simi, maybe one more and then we close.
Sure.
好，可能再一个问题，然后我们就结束。
Rinpoche, how can we help others without seeing the truth ourselves?
如何帮助别人看见关于我们自己的实相？
Well, at least we wish to see the truth, and that's already really, really good. Not many people even have that.
仁波切的回答是说，只要我们想要去看见实相，这样就已经是非常好了。因为很多人连这样的想法都没有。
And
而且
whoever
不管
it
是谁
is,
呢，
thank you for correcting me
就是谢谢
that
你，
Maya is mostly Central American, Peru is Inca.
就是纠正我。玛雅呢是中美的文明，秘鲁的文明呢是印加文明。
And on this very auspicious note on talking about Maya and Inca,
而且呢，
I shall say we will meet again in this cyber world, and I think we will be discussing about something to do with the karma.
就这个非常吉祥的讲到了玛雅和印加文明。那我要说，我们会再次在这个虚拟的世界当中相会。那下次我们会讨论关于业有关的内容。
And meanwhile, please take care of yourself.
同时呢，请大家好好的保重自己。
Okay.